and give it gas. Looking where I'm going, riding my rear brake, also giving it gas. All right, everybody. So welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be doing some different types of practices that I tend to do to try to keep my skills up. So we're going to try to see about doing some tight turns, also some stopping techniques, and also just getting familiar with the Honda Goldwing DCT. Now, I will say this, it is a lot different riding on this bike versus riding on the 2006 that I have that also is a manual, obviously, right? So you have more control. So let's see how we're going to do with the DCT. What I'm doing here is I'm just getting a little warm up with the bike, right? Seeing how the turning is, also getting used to the throttle response, right? So what am I doing here? When I'm making tighter turns, I'm riding my rear brake, looking where I'm going and throttling out. Coming to a stop, 1 foot down. Let's make it so that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. Stop. And a lot of times when we're stopping or coming to a stop, we want to make sure that, you know, that's what I was talking about in my previous video. A lot of times like that, especially us who have car tires, you have to be prepared. So when we're stopping, that the bike is nice and even, but also a little bit slided towards the left side, which is where your foot is going to be, and also using both brakes. Then pulling off, if I'm doing a 2-point turn or whatnot here, I'm going to look, turn, and give it gas. Looking where I'm going, riding my rear brake, also giving it gas, and then out. Then we can do the same. Stop, 1 foot, turn, look. And then out. One thing about the Goldwing, especially with the DCT, is knowing how the throttle response goes between the different modes, from tour mode to sport mode, eco mode, rain mode, but we're going to stay in tour mode for now for this particular exercise. So a lot of times when we are riding and we're doing turns, especially at slower speeds like I'm doing here, it can throw us off. This is a large bike. So we want to make sure that we know how the weight distribution is, right? You can see my body is staying upwards, but also leaning the bike. Always want to make sure to think about the physics when you're riding. At least that's what I do. If I'm making a turn, I'm leaning my body away from what I'm doing. If I'm making a right turn, I'm going to leave my body to the left, and then vice versa. I'm looking where I'm going. A lot of times when people have accidents or if they run off the road, it's because you are going to go where you look. You look down here trying to find something over here, you're messing around with something. On the right side of the bike, you're going to go right. Left side of the bike, you're going to go there. That's one of the reasons why when I am leading or if I am on a unfamiliar road, I always have my GPS up on my bike 100% of the time when my bike is moving. I like to know what is coming in the curve because then I can judge much better what I'm going to be doing or how the curve is coming. Now, one thing about the DCT is that it will take off. Now I'm in sport mode. I have to be a little bit more careful because it's going to feel more jerky and I do not have the tune on here. So sport mode, you have to see how you feel, see how it wants to kind of jerk away from me. See that? That I don't really like. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that. Doing different types of activities like this, of practice work, I should say, in sport mode. Always try to do it in tour mode. Eco mode, for me, the response is too light, okay? So if the bike is trying to fall over on you and you try to give it enough throttle, it's going to be too much of delay. So we're going to do a stop and turn. And out. Now, when we are reversing our bike, so I'm going to go to neutral, walk mode, minus sign will make the bike go backwards and forwards. Some of my viewers may say, well, Doc, that's kind of remedial. It's not, because some people, especially as we get older, our balance is not where it should be or where it used to be when we are moving these big bikes, right? So a lot of times what I like to do is to make sure that your feet are planted. I also, as you can see, I like to wear my boots because they have a heel on them so that my feet are constantly planted when I'm riding. If I'm going forward, for us who are dark side, it might be a crack in the road or uneven, such as this, and the bike tries to go to the side. Well, you will have, if you have your passenger on the back, you all see that I do have my wheelless trailer that I've made on the back as well. So always make sure that you're planted. Practice what you preach. That's why I'm out here doing this type of thing, so that if I am on a back road and say that the road is blocked off, I'm going to have to do that walk mode back and forth. The road might be on an incline where one of your feet, feet cannot touch the ground. So you have to know how to adjust your bike there. So now that we've done that, how do we do a faster stop on the bike? Always 2 brakes. So your right hand and your rear brake at the same time. Here we go. We get ourselves prepared. My foot was ready. Also, and the other foot is also on the brake. Let's do that again so you guys can see it a little bit better from the opposite side. And we stop. I'm keeping my wheel straight. If I try to do the bike lean like this and you're hitting the brake, you know, people, they're like, oh, no, 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 the bike's gonna fall. Keep it straight. I'm looking straight. And I also have my foot on the brake and my front brake together. As we know, we got some bugs out here, that the Goldwing's brakes are linked together. So that's gonna help with the stopping power. Also on the newer Goldwings, the braking power, I find it to be more superior than on the older bikes of the Goldwing, and that's probably because less weight, right? So that plays a part. Now, what happens when we need to do a fast stop and a maneuver? So we're going to come to a stop really quickly, and then I'm going to pull off to the left. So let's do that. We'll start. Here we go. Hard stop, brake, go. Rotary, back in, and brake. You notice there, the bike wanted to try to dance on me a little bit. Ha! That was fun. But you see, my foot was ready to be in position, so if the bike does want to go that way, I would have time to put my foot down. That's what I was also speaking about before on my previous video about as we get older, those reaction times become delayed. That's natural. That's why we have to really ask ourselves when that time comes, when do we go towards a trike, or when do we stop riding two up? For me, if I have to ride two up, I definitely don't want to give up riding. So I just have to make those adjustments if I like the crap that I'm doing here, right? So as you can see, the Goldwing, the DCT, can do all of those different things that we used to do on the older bikes that have a clutch. And to be honest with you, it took me some time, a lot of time actually, to get used to the throttle response on the Goldwing, on the DCT, because of you got to know the touchiness of the throttle. The touchiness, I like that. But yeah, just understanding how the bike will maneuver itself and the throttle wise, because you don't want to hit the throttle and you shoot yourself off and you fall off the bike and the bike takes off down the street. So I hope that this has been helpful for some of you at home, and thanks for watching. Peace.